This is Hunt Palmer.
Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, brought to you by Immense Networks, Cloud IT Management. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Hope your work week's off to a good start. We'll talk to Sharief Ishak from Southern California coming up in 30 minutes. I just chuckled. I didn't listen to the clip. It's just a quote I saw on Twitter. But, of course, T-Bob's up there at Barstool, and he was on the Mostly Sports podcast today. And Brandon Walker, apparently, and again, I didn't hear the quote. There's a video of it, and I'm confident they just transcribed it. But I saw the quote written out in the tweet. And Brandon Walker tells T-Bob, will you start acting like a bleeping Division I college football player and stop trying to cosplay as a bleeping nerd? And I'll say this. This is apparently in relation to him talking about Dungeons and Dragons. He's not cosplaying. I know T-Bob. He goes to all kinds of these like festivals and wears like wizard costumes, and he plays a lot of chess, and he loves painting figurines, and like he's not a meathead in any way, shape, or form. He is a nerd who just happened to be the son of an NFL player and therefore was 6'3" and 310 pounds and was a good enough athlete to play college football. And he loves football, but it's not an act. We know T-Bob around here, and I think they know him in Barstool now well enough, but he's happy to talk Dungeons and Dragons. He'll talk some football with you, but he'll talk some Dungeons and Dragons. Brandon Walker just didn't appreciate that very much. So, Let's get into our second hour here, and let's do the next installation of our now daily segment until we hit all the freshmen. It's Meet the Freshmen.
Meet the Freshmen. Freshmen, meet the freshmen. They're the newest Tigers on the team.
So 2 more freshmen today that we will get into that I think have really bright futures on the perimeter for LSU. That will start with Haven Finney. Haven Finney is a cornerback that Corey Raymond identified for the 2027 class as the top cornerback in the nation, and got his commitment, and then Haven Finney decided to reclassify. So as Haven Finney begins his first season in college football this year, he is a year early. He should be a senior in high school this year. He comes from Carson, California. Sierra Canyon High School is a really long, rangy corner, as you would imagine that the number one corner in the country would be that Corey Raymond would recruit. He's 6'1". 1-3 actually lists him as 6'1.5". LSU lists him at 6'1". But he is, if you go out to practice, you'll see like he's a long dude. He's not a big dude because he hasn't filled out. He still should be a senior in high school, but he's a big dude. He's listed at 6'1", 173 pounds. But this is a guy who has a really, really strong pedigree and was the number one cornerback in the nation in his class. Now, when he reclassed, all that got jumbled up. He was the 174th ranked player by Rivals in the new class. He was the 80th ranked player by ESPN. 24/7 ranked him as the number 29 corner. ESPN thinks the most of him, the number 12 corner in the country in this class, but he was in the top 5 of all the outlets in his proper class, and then reclassed. But was still a 4-star and still considered a really good get for LSU. He did enroll in the spring and has been going through a weight program, and this is the next guy up. And I really think that he's got a potential to get to the field this year. When I look at Haven Finney, I look at the top of LSU's depth chart, and I see DJ Pickett, and I see PJ Woodland, and I see Jakeem Jackson. Those are the top 3. Beyond that, I think you see Michael Turner and Haven Finney are right there, because Aiden Anding would have fit in there, but he got hurt. So if there is an injury, if there is a targeting foul, if there is a second targeting foul, or whatever the case may be, and LSU loses a corner, Haven Finney is a potential player at the dime. Now, if you pushed me on this today, I think it would be Pickett, Woodland, Jackson, Turner, Finney. I think he would be 5th. But that's my opinion. We'll have to see if, in fact, that does happen. He is really talented, and I think got a chance to be really good at LSU. I think he's a year away from being that. You do have Pickett for another year. I think you may have Woodland for another year. He doesn't ooze NFL draft pick to me, but he will have been here for 3 years and could move forward. We'll see what that looks like. Aiden Anding will be back for the spring next year, and Finney can push. But ultimately, the moral of this story is that Corey Raymond has restocked these shelves. And there is a reason why he did not go into the transfer portal and get a top-tier player. LSU went and got a dude out of the transfer portal at every position. Levitt at quarterback, Seaton at tackle, Ba at guard, Jones at running back, 12 wide receivers, Uman Mielen at edge rusher. They went and got linebacker, who you figure could be among the SC's tackles leader in Daughtery. On the interior, you went and got Blockton and Green. You went safety and got Benefield. Like every place on the field, LSU went and got a starting level player except corner. And to me, that suggests that they know that they've got real dudes behind Pickett, behind Woodland. I still think they're short on depth, and the Anding injury hurt really badly. But I think Corey trusts his high school evaluation and trusts his guys. Because I just assumed they would go get the next Mansour Delane. Not that it would be the should have been Thorpe Award winner. He should have won that award. But the best corner in the portal, I figured they just go get it because Corey has that ability. I think they think a lot of their young corners, and Haven Finney is one of those for sure. The next freshman on our list today is Jabari Mack. Jabari Mack comes from Destrehan over in New Orleans. This is a guy who was a consensus 4-star recruit, was a consensus top 11 player in the state. ESPN had him as number 4 player in the state last year. And then you saw Rivals had him as the number 8 player in the state last year, number 39 at wide receiver. The trait for Mack is his speed. He's not huge. He's 6 feet tall. He's 200 pounds, so he's well put together, but he's really fast. He was a track athlete at Destrehan and was an Under Armour All-American. As a junior, he really burst onto the scene with 58 catches for over 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns. He also, as a sophomore right before that, was a regional qualifier in the 100 and the 200, so excellent track runner. He can really go. Unfortunately, we haven't seen as much of Mack in the last 2 weeks because he has been dealing with an injury, but he did return to the practice field with the team on Saturday. So on Monday. He was there on Monday when I was out. So that's a really good thing. I don't think Jabari Mack fits into this crew. You got too many veterans, too many guys at the top of this food chain who are proven commodities at the college level or fourth-year players or former 5-stars. I think Corey Barber and Jabari Mack are going to have to wait their turn as freshmen. But after this year, very easy to see Jace Brown move on, Trey Wilson move on. It's conceivable that Trey Brown would move on. It's conceivable that that a lot of these guys, Jackson Harris, could potentially be moving on. There's a lot of guys at the top of this food chain that could be moving on after this year, and there should be some young players coming up. I don't expect LSU to restock the shelves with 12 wide receivers every year. Got to keep some guys involved, and the guys that are from the state, you figure you got a better chance to keep around. Jabari Mack is a good athlete. He's filled out. He's got big speed, and I think they like him a lot. And this is a guy that Lane Kiffin did want to keep around in this class. He did look at 2 LSU wide receiver commitments when he got here and told them, hey, you might want to look elsewhere. And they brought Corey Barber in. But Mack has got a chance to be a really good player here at LSU, and I think it's probably a year, potentially 2 away. But they've just got too many veterans at wide receiver at this point. Good to see that Jabari Mack is healthy. Good to see that he's running well, and good to see that LSU brings in another Destrehan guy because a lot of times those guys tend to work out. It's had a pretty good track record bringing guys in from Destrehan to LSU. So that should meet the freshman today, Haven Finney out at corner and Jabari Mack there at wide receiver. We're knocking off 2 every single day. Almost halfway done. We'll be halfway done after tomorrow's edition of Meet the Freshmen. So you can want to listen to those and kind of get yourself acclimated and acquainted with LSU's freshmen. You can do that at Hunt on LSU, wherever you find your podcasts. All right, we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about what Blake Baker had to say over the weekend. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing, lifetimeroofingla.com. That's lifetimeroofingla.com. That's where you can find them. You can find them in Baton Rouge. You can find them in anywhere in the state of Louisiana, over into the state of Texas as well. You want to be able to trust your roofer because most of us, myself included, don't know what you're looking at up on a roof, don't want to climb up on a roof. So how do you know if your roof's in good shape? How do you know if there's damage? How do you know if you need a new roof? Well, you got to trust that roofer will go up there and take a look at it and do the right thing, whether that's get a repair done, whether that's just a fortification or maybe you do need a new roof. But oftentimes roofers will come in here and sell you their most expensive product, which is a new roof. Maybe you need one, but if you don't, Lifetime Roofing's not going to gouge you like that. They're going to take care of you because they care about this community. It's Baton Rouge-based, Louisiana people that understand how important roofing is around here with the storms that we deal with almost on an annual basis. They can help you. So check them out online at lifetimeroofingla.com. If you need new windows, need new siding, need gutters, Lifetime Roofing can help you out with that as well. They're online at lifetimeroofingla.com, lifetimeroofingla.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Take some time to tell you about our friends at Gotros Outdoor Power, online at gotrosonline.com, gotrosonline.com. Got some great end of summer deals right now at Gotros Outdoor Power. So you got to get by 2 locations. Of course, you know, they're on Airline Highway in Baton Rouge and in Gonzales. If you want up to $1,000 off select Gravely, Skag, and Hustler zero turns, 0% financing as well, you go to Gotros Outdoor Power. Still grass cutting season. It's going to be growing past Halloween, this part of the world, this time of year. So if you need a new zero-turn mower, you look no further than the group that's been the Hustler Dealer of the Year nationally 2 of the last 3 years. You look at the largest Hustler dealer in the state, the largest parts inventory in the state. That's all there at Gotros Outdoor Power. So up to $1,000 off select Gravely, Skag, and Hustler zero-turn mowers. 0% financing is available if you check them out at one of their 2 locations, Airline Highway in Baton Rouge or in Gonzales. Gotros Outdoor Power. That's Gotros Outdoor Power. All right, let's go back to Blake Baker's time meeting with the media at the end of last week. First time we've talked to Coach Baker since the spring. And he discussed a number of topics, some I think more captivating than others. He spoke about now that he's had a spring and into some fall camp competing with Lane Kiffin and working alongside Lane Kiffin, what his relationship is like with the new head coach of LSU.
I think Coach Kiffin and myself, you know, like any relationship, you try to feel each other out, and it's been outstanding. You know, I think he's been really, really good to me. There's times as a head coach he wants to see certain things, but a lot of times he suggests, and it's a true suggestion, and a lot of times they're really good ideas. He's a really smart football coach, regardless of what side of the ball it is. But I've really enjoyed my time with Coach Kiffin, and he's been really, really good to me, and I really appreciate him for that.
I do like the brain trust at LSU. I like Kiffin at the top. I like Charlie Weiss on one arm. I like Blake Baker on the other arm. I think LSU's got smart people, good communicators in important spots over there on campus. We'll see if that nets out to a lot of wins. I think a lot of people would suggest that it will, but I'm comfortable with that for sure. I'm not quite as comfortable with LSU's depth at its edge position. I think with situation now where Gabe Relaford's out for the year, you've got Damian Shanklin not with the program, and Lane Kiffin declined to comment on that yesterday as well. You are a little bit short on edge depth, in my estimation. Blake Baker was asked about that.
I think I've seen a lot of growth out of some guys, really from, when you look at Jordan Ross, when you look at P. Will, they just got here in the spring, how much they've already grown. Dylan Carpenter is a guy that, he's absolutely been outstanding. When you talk about where he came in as a freshman to where he is now, you don't see that much anymore because a lot of times they'll leave before that. But, man, I can't be more complimentary of him and Lamar Brown. And we, Kalaj Cobbins is another guy. So I do. I feel good about our depth. I think we have some really good explosion off the edge as well. And they're all complementary of each other. Some guys have really good strengths in one area compared to another. So we're going to be able to play around with those weapons.
There's some talent there, but Iman Mielen's really the only guy that's produced. Like, I'm not here to doubt Jordan Ross's talent. I'm not here to doubt Lamar Brown's talent. But they haven't produced at this level. One has not been given the opportunity now as a freshman. The other one has had 2 years at SEC school. So we'll see how that looks. You've got to rush the passer, though. And LSU did create some rush last year. They didn't get the quarterback on the ground enough. That was the biggest problem that LSU had. You look at their sack numbers, and I missed on this. I thought LSU last year was going to be really, really, really productive when it came to sacks. And they just weren't. You look at the SEC, and you were all year long hovering around the bottom of the conference in sacks. And you ended up, when the dust all settled, LSU was 10th in sacks. If you go to sacks per game, LSU was 12th in the SEC out of 16 teams. They just didn't get guys on the ground. They did produce some turnovers. They got some rush, and they got 17 sacks, and the edge works in doing that. And Blake Baker's talked about his philosophy of getting pressure and creating turnovers and getting guys on the ground.
Yeah, rush and coverage works together. Again, I think we have a little more explosion off the edge. There were several times, again, when you look back at us last year, we have a great pass rush, and maybe we just weren't able to close and finish on the quarterback. But they definitely work together. Big point of emphasis, in my opinion, I think we only had 4 or 5 fumble recoveries. So, if you're out there, you see us being a lot more proactive, coaching strips on the ball and punches at the ball and trying to increase that number. But definitely, the better the rush, usually the more interceptions you have. But some of those interceptions, the quarterback's got to make a decision, take the sack or throw the ball to us. So, again, those numbers sometimes can be a little bit misleading as well.
You did a great job with the interception part. It's the sack part that just didn't go quite as well. And so now you're looking at your defensive front, the group that's tasked with getting a lot of those sacks, and a lot of that comes off the edge. But you also are talking about having guys on the interior, and then Lamar Brown that are young. And the question is, how do you feel about having Big Richard Anderson, Deuce Geralds, and Lamar Brown playing a huge role in what you're trying to do defensively? And Blake Baker talked about those guys.
Yeah, they're as good as I've been around, especially when you talk about a trio of freshmen. I mean, we've thrown more install at this group than I ever have in my career. And those guys are repping with the 1s and the 2s, so they're getting the full install. And there's been growing pains. We're going to have to fight through the freshman wall at some point. I think all 3 of them are doing a good job fighting it right now. But I am proud of where they're at now and where they've come from. They work at it. They all love football. They got really, really bright futures, but you'll see all 3 of those guys on the field.
I'm going to be just blunt with y'all as I can be. I'm going to be guarded on this deal. That doesn't mean dismissive. That does not mean pessimistic. That does not mean I think it's a disaster. I'm just going to be guarded in how much praise I'm going to heap on 3 freshman defensive linemen. And y'all know that, y'all have listened over the last couple of weeks. And that's the position I'm going to take. I will come up here with bells on. I'll be so excited if against Clemson, Lamar Brown has 2 TFLs and Deuce Geralds is blowing up plays at the line of scrimmage and Big Richard Anderson gets the game-winning sack. I will be just so ecstatic that that's the case, and I'll change my tune on things as things change. But I'm going to be guarded with going, well, he was a 5-star. Watch him wreck this offensive line. Because dominating at Carr or U-High is not the same as dominating Clemson. Now, they're getting work right now against SEC players. So the coaching staff knows a lot better than I do. But my official position entering the season with 3 guys with no experience being key cogs in the defensive front is going to be guarded with the door open that makes you vulnerable. And if they prove to me that's incorrect and they really are that good, and look, Blake Baker says the best he's been around. Kiffin said best he's been around. Ogeron, best he's been around. They've said that. They know better than me. But I'm just not willing to get swept up in this August bonanza where we're just determining that these guys were 5-star recruits, and so they're transforming LSU defense immediately. I'm just going to wait on that. But I'm hopeful. I'm just going to wait. Just so y'all know, just so we're clear, I'm going to wait on that. And the last piece here with Blake Baker is the final bite we're going to play, talking about TJ Daugherty, who's the other end of that spectrum, and how he has grown into a leadership role in the middle of the defense.
I think he brings a lot of leadership. Obviously, having Witt in there, he's complemented that really well. An unbelievable work ethic, and really is a great example to show the young guys. He came in, really studied his tail off, and is able to pick up the playbook very, very quickly. And he's just another voice, I always say players, man, they get sick and tired of hearing the coach all the time. But when it comes from the players, again, Witt and him especially, it probably rings a little bit in their ears a little bit louder. So he's not afraid to say something when it needs to be said, and not necessarily in a negative way. A lot of times he's trying to build the guys up. So I'm as appreciative of his leadership, especially on the defense, but especially in the linebacker room, as much as I am about his play.
And I think it said a lot that they took him to SEC Media Days. I know that's not everybody's most it's not the week that everybody looks forward to on the calendar all year long, like maybe we do because of the nature of what we do professionally there. But I just thought that him coming to SEC Media Days said a lot about the leadership qualities that Lane Kiffin has already seen in TJ Dowder, and then you're hearing them from a guy that just met him this year and just brought him into the fold. But you are going to have, if you do have some youth out there on the field, if you do have Big Richard Anderson out there, if you do have Juice Gerald's out there, if you do have Lamar Brown out there, if you do put Haven Finney out there at some point at the corner spot, you do have some old guys out there that are helping. And Whit Weeks and Devon Keys are certainly two of those guys. Prince Ulamon Mielon is old at this point. Tamarcus Cooley's played a ton of football. Ty Benefield's played a ton of football. Devon Keys has played a ton of football. Dylan Carpenter's been around a long time. So you do have a lot of maturity on that defense, as most teams in college football do. There aren't a lot of young college football teams these days. But LSU may be a little bit young in spots on that defense, and having somebody like Daugherty, like Weeks, like the guys that I just rattled off in the secondary to be on-field leaders for those guys and kind of show them the ropes is very, very important. And obviously LSU will take that extremely seriously. So I like Blake Baker's defense. I think that he's going to get this thing figured out. Have some trepidation about where they are up front, and I'm concerned if there is an injury at corner. But you look at the top end, you look at that first 11, and if you tell me those freshmen can play up front on the defensive line, I like where they are at linebacker. I love where they are at corner. I love where they are at safety. And you got one very much proven edge rusher that you feel like can get after the passer routinely, like Uman Mielon. So that's a look at Blake Baker's defense. We'll continue to discuss that as we move forward. But I enjoyed what Blake Baker had to say over the weekend. I wrote a couple pieces about it at LouisianaSports.net that you can go check out. If you're looking for your LSU content, you can find it there. You can find it at Hunt on LSU as well. Ross is out in California with the Saints. If you're looking for a practice report, you can get that from Ross at LouisianaSports.net for free as well. Always free, no pop-ups, no paywalls, no article limits, just LSU and Saints coverage you're looking for at LouisianaSports.net. Speaking of the Saints, they're out in Oxnard, California. Sharief Ishak is there for WDSU, and he's going to jump aboard when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust, FABT.com. Been at this 116 years. 116 years, First American Bank and Trust. And they've grown over those 116 years to 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. That means there are always one near you. So if you need a local bank, want to get that commercial loan or that personal loan, and want to deal with someone local in your community, First American Bank and Trust is the first call you need to make. They're happy to help you. And when you call them, you don't get a call center in Atlanta. You don't get a call center in Manhattan. You get someone in Southeast Louisiana. When you deal with someone at First American Bank and Trust, you deal with somebody who's part of your community. So if you want that personal loan, that commercial loan, First American Bank and Trust. I haven't checked the thermostat today. My guess is 99, just a reasonable guess as to what the temperature is out there. Probably much warmer than that out in a parking lot near you. Sharief Ishak's not in a parking lot, nor 99. He's in Oxnard, California. Give me a temperature reading, Sharief.
Well, technically, I'm in a parking lot, walking into the Dallas Cowboys facility, but it is 78 degrees, and it's
78 degrees.
Yeah. You feel bad for me?
How's that going?
It's beautiful. I mean, going from 100 or 98 and going down to 78 and then going to the beach after to do my live shots is very braggadocious of me, I should say.
It is. You should feel bad.
I feel terrible for you guys.
All right. Well, tell me what the Saints are doing this week.
Well, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Jordan Tyson, or do you want to start with joint practices?
I want to start with the schedule for the week. We'll get to Tyson and receivers as we move forward. But what's the schedule?
All right, so the schedule is going to be this joint practice about 2, maybe a little more than 2 hours, because last week's joint practice hit around 2:05, 2:10. So I'm expecting it to be around the same time. So they're gonna have this joint practice with the Cowboys. Then they're gonna have a little light walkthrough practice tomorrow at Oaks High School. I think it's like in Thousand Oaks. So we're gonna go there tomorrow. That's gonna be, I guess, in the morning Pacific time. I think they're talking about bumping it up because they have another practice the following day. Then they're going to have that Rams practice 10 Pacific time, so 10 to 12, so noon to 2 Baton Rouge time. And that's going to be another extensive practice. And after that, off on Friday. Might be an off or walkthrough because I know we don't have any availability on Friday. Then the game on Saturday.
So big week, obviously joint practices with two different teams out in California, and then a preseason game to cap things before they come on back to the Gulf Coast. Let's talk about Jordan Tyson now. What's your biggest takeaway from the latest developments with him? We hear he's going to be out for 4, 6, 8 weeks.
It stings and it stinks because they essentially bubble wrapped him this entire offseason. They ramped him up only for him to get hurt after having a fantastic 2 weeks of training camp. He was doing it all over the field, man. He was quick, smooth, and all parts of the field. He was just a really good part of the offense and really big time help for Tyler Shuck. I guess you could say the good news is it happened early. The bad news, though, Hunt, is it going to happen again?
Yep.
This is the fourth hamstring injury. Now they have to get into the preventative measures of this not happening again. You know, you don't want to see this happen over and over again. You spent the 8th overall pick on it. And now you have people saying, well, I told you so. You shouldn't have drafted him. Well, I told you so. He had injuries coming in. Why would you draft a skilled player that has hamstring issues? Too late to think about that part. Now they have to find a way to make it preventative. But look, they've had a lot of players in their careers to deal with hamstring injuries. Odell Beckham dealt with it in his rookie year, came back and won the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but hamstring injuries seem to happen a lot more. Lance Moore talked to me about this earlier this week about how he had hamstring issues and he had to figure it out what it was, and it could be stamina, it could be, hydration. He's just got to go to a specialist and figure it out at this point. And the Saints have to figure out the preventative measures moving forward because they need him on the field. And it's an obvious statement. They need him on the field. The good thing is at least they're deep there now, which is something we couldn't say last year. But it really hurts, man, considering the camp that he had.
Yeah, look, your depth's hurt. Obviously, you lose your first-round pick, and then a guy that you made a trade for, and Jalen Polk decides he's going to retire. So two of the guys that are in your top 4 or 5 are no longer with you, one for permanently and the other one indefinitely. So what does it mean for the depth chart behind Chris Olave? What's up?
Well, we go Chris, you go Devon Vele, then you have the 2 drafted guys, Barryon Brown, Bryce Lance, and then after that, it's open. I mean, I think Bub Means can make a really good case for himself. He's had a strong training camp. He showed out a little bit last week against the Jags, really did well in the preseason game as well against the Jags. Then there, it's like, who is it? Is it Kevin Austin? I'm a guy who can play special teams. He's a big body who can go across the middle of the field for you. So you have some choices there. You really do have some choices. That's why it's good for them to be deep. I'm interested to see if they try to go pick up somebody else. I don't know if they necessarily need to, but maybe going find somebody else wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he misses those first 4 or 5 games of the season. So, but at least Bub and Kevin Austin are on the field contributing for this team and trying to make the roster, positions 4 and 5 or 4, 5, and 6. Because I don't know. Does he start on the PUP, IR with Jordan? That's going to be the big question.
So you had a chance to look at Tyler Shuck in a joint practice last week after we finished with you, and you'll get a chance to see him a couple more times this week. Was there improvement from Tyler Shuck from what you saw in the joint practice last week with Jacksonville?
So maybe we were right. He's a better gamer, live shot player than an as-live player because, the tendencies of your defense seeing you every day, they start to know your tendencies, and they get to see all of your motions and your actions. And he got out there against the Jags, and he carved them. I mean, he started like 7 of 8. He threw 3 touchdown passes, couple to Chris Olave. I thought he, worked the pocket really well. I thought he moved really well. I'm interested to see how that carries over because these two defenses are complete different beasts. I mean, they keep adding pieces. I mean, add Von Miller. I don't know if he's going to practice today. I know he's signing today. Let's see what they do against the Rams defense, which is already a perennial Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
Where we're going to see how this first-team offense and the first-team defense really sits after, 2 very good joint practices. But as far as Tyler, I was impressed last week. I truly was. The way he was ripping the ball down the field, throwing it into tight coverage. I'm anxious to see how he does that today against another very good defense.
We understand the caveats that are around preseason games, but I didn't think Spencer Rattler looked very good on Saturday,
Nope.
and I did think that Wilson looked better, even though we know he's playing against guys that are likely to get cut. What did you make of last week with the backup quarterbacks?
At least he looked better against the backups. I would not want to look bad against backups. That's how you start getting questions of, is there backup quarterback competition, and that might be a really good case in this situation. But I thought they were all right. I thought Zach was, I thought he managed the game well when he was in. He made some really good passes to to Bub and then Barry on down the sideline. I thought he did well. I mean, he's a veteran. I mean, he's had a bunch of starts since he was drafted in the NFL, so he knows what to do. And it almost feels like, man, Spencer struggled, and there's no reason to struggle whenever you've been in the system now going into year 2. And it just was bad, man. And some of it could have been on the offensive line. One of it could have been on a whiff, by Estime when that strip sack happened, but it happened, and it's on his watch. So wasn't a good game for him at all.
Sharief Ishak's our guest, coming to us from Oxnard. The Saints and Cowboys will practice a little bit later on this afternoon from Southern California. Curious your thoughts on the Saints defense and what you're looking for in this week from the starters when they're out there in practice work.
I thought they started fast and finished fast against the Jags. This is going to be, once again, I keep saying a completely different beast because they're going against Dak and then they're going against Matthew Stafford. Both guys have been sharp throughout this training camp, and this is going to be a test for Kool-Aid and Quincy. This is where we see how good they really are going against these receivers, fast, big receivers. So, yeah, man, look, the defensive line was fantastic last week. I mean, Chase Young just ate that offensive line up last week. I mean, he said he felt like he had a half a dozen sacks, and I agree with him. It felt like he did have a half a dozen sacks. So that's something that we could possibly see, how that carries over this week against Dallas and Rams. To the Rams, man, these two offensive lines are nasty, man. This is like something I've been looking forward to seeing, this defensive line going against these offensive lines. So I thought they played well last week, and this is like going to be another prove-it situation for that defensive line.
What about Christian Miller?
He's here. He hurt his shoulder during the game, so
right.
he's healthy enough to practice. You want to be careful with these guys, man. You're not trying to get them hurt early in training camp, which has been the situation with a lot of nicks and knacks of injuries. So he played well in that Jags game. I thought he had a couple nice TFLs. He got in the backfield quickly. So he's impressive, man. I mean, I can see why they drafted him in the second round.
Do you feel like you're going to see Kendre Miller in action this week at any point?
I don't know. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked. Not watching be out there in the field, but I'd be shocked. He was in street clothes last week. I don't know how much a difference a week's going to make, but time is ticking.
Yeah, that's my next question. It's like, how long am I going to sit here and wait? I realize that we're not cutting anybody this week, but like you're getting there.
Yeah, time is ticking. He needs to get out there in the practice field ASAP because the other guys are starting to eat up that position. So if he doesn't get out there, it's going to be could be his final time with the Saints.
Any thoughts on the kicking competition last week? Obviously, you saw another miss in the dome from Charlie Smith.
Not good. I keep saying I don't know if the kicker's on this roster. I know Tanner Brown's a little bit better, but right now, if you ask me, I think Tanner Brown's a little ahead. But it's one of those ugly kicking competitions at this point.
All right. Anything else that we're paying attention to this week, and where can everybody find y'all's work? I know that everybody will be following along as y'all are now out there in California.
Posting a million videos today from practice at Sharief WDSU. That's my Twitter. That's where it's all going. Everything. I mean, every single play I can shoot, I'm going to put it on Twitter. That's where you're going to see all the highlights that you can't see and all the beautiful weather you can't enjoy.
Well, Ross Jackson got put in Twitter jail for going over 50 tweets during the preseason game, so don't do that.
No, Ross Jackson is standing right next to me. See?
Wow, Ross Jackson, LouisianaSports.net. Amazing work.
Yeah, there he is.
All right, get to work, Sharief. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. See you next Tuesday.
Sharief Ishak, WDSU, out at Saints camp in Oxnard. It's a nice little summer junket for the old Saints beat to head out there. A couple of years ago, they went for like 4 weeks. Like the whole training camp was out there until they came back for preseason games. This is just a quick week, but it's a really important week for the Saints in terms of evaluation, a little bit of development, just kind of seeing where you stand, and it won't be public. Like, it'll be public in the sense that the media is there, but it won't be like a preseason game where we get to watch it. It's just going to be a sense of reporting on it and how it looks. But we know that last year and this week, the Saints played the Rams in a joint – they practiced with the Rams in a joint practice and just got whitewashed. Like, we know that happened. And that's not surprising. The Rams were maybe the best team in football last year. They didn't finish at the end, but they may have been the best team in football last year. And the Saints were not. They weren't even close. So it's not surprising that the Saints, especially before they'd ever played a game in a brand new system with a quarterback who ended up not being a starting player like that, it didn't go well. But this year, it should be a fairer fight. The Saints should be on relatively even playing field with the Cowboys. Relatively, the Cowboys might be better. But the Saints should be on relative. It should not be a mismatch. And the Rams are better than the Saints, but hold your own. Go out there and hold your own. And that will be a good day of reps against one of the better teams in the NFL, if not the best team in the NFL, to put on tape so the coaches can evaluate. They can see what guys did well, can see what they struggled with. Come back and spend the last couple of weeks getting ready to put that team together, that first roster together, I should say, and get ready for the season. So, it's not one where we're going to either queue up a Super Bowl parade for February or cancel the season based on how two joint practices go. But it is important to go out there and hold your own better than the Saints did last year, because it would be concerning if in either of these practices the Saints get dominated on both sides of the ball. That would be concerning because you feel like you should have graduated beyond that at a certain point. It's still August. We're not making sweeping judgments, but big week for the Saints. Sharief's out there, and we'll have it all covered at LouisianaSports.net. Ross Jackson is there. He will have observations from practice up, and I'm very excited to read that. Ross will, I'm sure, be checking in with Matt on AFR throughout the week, and we'll get to Luke Johnson on Thursday, and probably one more guest, either Kat Terrell, Sean Fazand, or somebody out there in Oxnard and in California as the Saints make their tour of it this week with the Cowboys and the Rams. All right, we'll step aside. One more break, one more segment. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com. That's SwingEasyGCBR.com. Awesome place to work on your game. If you're thinking, man, it's just I can't find the time and place to practice golf. The range I like to go to, like it's barren because it hasn't rained and the grass isn't growing back, or it's 1,000 degrees and I can't keep my hands dry, or the golf balls are not any good and I can't really tell because they're scuffed and they fly all over the place. I get it. Like sometimes the ranges aren't the best. But at Swing Easy, you can eliminate all those variables. You can hit off that mat in a controlled environment, no wind, quality golf ball. You don't have to worry about grass growing or wind blowing or the heat. You can just work on your game. You can see the trajectory of your shots. You can see your swing speed. You can see your ball velocity. You can see your carry distance. You can see where your club impacts the golf ball. They've got a great slow-mo that I find exceptionally helpful. So you can work on your game at Swing Easy Golf Club. It's a great place to do that. If you've got an hour and a half, great. If you got 25 minutes, great. Swing Easy will take you no matter what. It's on Segan at Perkins. You can find them online at swingeasygcbr.com. That's Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Tuesday show is always brought to you by Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. When something breaks, that oftentimes just means an unexpected expense, right? Well, not if you partner with Immense, because they're watching, and if they'll know before anything goes wrong, you can make it one flat monthly cost, and that can replace an unpredictable repair bill or a surprise emergency. That's because Immense is always monitoring your system 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, proactively taking care of things that could compromise you. So if you've got an IT department that's overworked, you've got an IT department that maybe isn't as proactive as Immense may be, they're not here to replace your IT department. May have some employees who do a great job at handling things internally, but Immense can just help them. It's a Baton Rouge-based company. They've been at it for 20 years. If you're a business of 50 to 100 people, that's right in their sweet spot to help you out with your IT management. It's Immense Networks Cloud IT Management. They're online at immense.net. That's immense.net. All right, tonight I will be at Court to Table, 8 o'clock sports trivia. If you want to spend some time hanging out on a Tuesday, make a night out of it, we'd love to have you there at Court to Table. It's about 8 o'clock to about 9:15. It's 5 rounds, live action trivia. You can win gift cards. You can eat their great food, drink some delicious drinks, and just enjoy a Tuesday evening there on Burbank at Court to Table. We're there every week, and we'd love to have you out. You can come by yourself. You can come as a team. It's there at Burbank at Court to Table. It's sports trivia every single Tuesday. We got one more order of business. Luke Foster, let's take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it. All right, take it or leave it. ESPN founder Bill Rasmussen passes away today at the age of 93.
Yeah.
The beloved sports network we all know today first premiered in 1979. Thanks to Bill's vision of a 24-hour sports channel, he left a lasting legacy by founding ESPN and transforming the world of sports media. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. That was good. It's a little different than it was in my childhood, which is my fondest memories. Like the fact that Baseball Tonight is not a thing anymore just like breaks my heart. I can go to MLB Network and that gives me something similar, but like the old Peter Gammage, Tim Kirkjian, Harold Reynolds, John Kruk Baseball Tonight was like appointment television for me, and I'm bummed that I don't have that anymore.
Agreed. I thought it was appropriate for today.
Yeah.
The pug named Jenny Lou wins World's Ugliest Dog Contest in California. No. Jenny Lou, a 6-year-old pug who came in runner-up last year.
No, Jenny Lou.
She finally took home the crown as World's Ugliest Dog, proving that persistence pays off even if you're objectively a little hard to look at. Now the pug is $5,000 richer and getting her face on limited edition mug root beer cans. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. Like,
I'll take it.
I mean, that was kind of an ugly dog. And, like, the long tongue hanging out of the mouth does not help her cause any there. I wonder what the owner thinks. Like, the owner's probably thinking, man, this dog got me $5,000. I can tell you this, Teeny, my cat, has never gotten me $5,000. She shows up with some expensive bills at the vet, but never a check for $5,000. So, shout out Jenny Lou.
It just proves that a dog's unconditional love.
That's right. Is worth $5,000.
Kyle Tucker's 0 for 25 slump.
Oh, my God, Kyle Tucker.
Yeah.
Jeez.
0 for 25 in brutal fielding have gotten so bad that he was spotted crying alone in the Dodgers dugout last night. And this is after signing a $250 million contract. He's currently looking less like a star and more like a guy desperately trying to remember how baseball works. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. Kyle Tucker played for the Cubs last year, and they tried to re-sign him. He had a really good start to the year last year and then fell on his face. And there was a concern in baseball industries that he was going to sign this monster deal, $250 million, and kind of check out because he's just a no heartbeat guy. There's no emotion, no energy, no juice to him ever. Brilliant hitter. One of the best hitters in baseball over the last 5 years previous to this year. But he's been awful. He dropped a fly ball yesterday. Like he dropped another fly ball the other day and like didn't run to go get it. He like kind of jogged over to get it. I texted to one of my buddies like, this guy just doesn't care. And the Dodgers fans are not having it. Now, the Dodgers are the only franchise that can pay a player $250 million who stinks and like recover from that because they have a bunch of other guys who can offset that with their production. Like if any other team signed a guy for $250 million that was their worst player, your team would just be shot. But not the Dodgers. They can just keep on trucking.
Yeah, there's no crying in baseball, Kyle Tucker. You're extremely rich.
He's very rich.
Please. That's all we got.
That's it for Take It or Leave It. All right. I am, speaking of baseball, I am having so much fun with the Cubs right now in a pennant race, but this is not necessarily about that. I was watching yesterday when I got home. I got home from Shreveport at like 7:30, and I was watching the Cubs game, and they had the lead, and then they acted like a bunch of morons and blew the lead, gave up a homer after screwing up a fundamental baseball situation offensively. And I was cranky, and I'd been up for a while, and it was like 9:45, 10 o'clock, and I went, I'm not going to sit here in the ninth inning and watch them lose this game to the White Sox, who I hate. So I'm just going to turn it off. And I was watching on my phone on the app, and I just turned it off, went to bed. Woke up in the middle of the night, thought, I'm going to check this score. They're going to have lost. It's going to make me really mad, and then I won't be able to go to sleep, so I'm just going to let it go. And then I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning to write my story for LouisianaSports.net, and I looked at it, I was like, we won!
Yep.
A little Nico Horner game-tying hit, and then PCA, 2-run shot in the 10th. We like that.
PCA is so awesome.
He's very good. He's very good.
Awesome.
He signed a huge contract and then got better, which we like that a lot. But I'm having so much fun. I texted one of my buddies, a pennant race in baseball is more fun than the playoffs. Now, the playoffs highs are highs, but the lows are so low, and it's like it happens so quick, especially if you lose. I'm just having fun every day being involved in this in the Cubs. And August kind of sucks for football fans, and we're in football mode because I still feel like we're a long way away from the Clemson game, but the baseball helps.
Clemson, we do not play Clemson
2.5
next
weeks.
week.
I know.
By the way.
I'm well aware. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. For everyone that was listening yesterday, I didn't realize that. I thought we were 2 weeks away. And I was like, not like a little bit of a miscommunication. Like, I genuinely thought we were 2 weeks out, and I just missed. And that was a very tough realization. There was an extra week to go. But here we are. Appreciate it, immense, for making our Tuesday shows possible. If you missed any of it, Our look back at Blake Baker's sound, my thoughts on LSU's defensive backs, Saints looking at Jordan Tyson. Catch all that on demand. Always remind you, Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints. Matt's going to drive you home next on AFR. We're back tomorrow. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. It doesn't have to be a big and expansive and extensive renovation. When I say renovation and remodel, it can be something simple. The bread and butter for One Bath and Closets is the tub to shower conversion. If you've got a bathtub that's maybe old and dingy, maybe older and not functioning properly, maybe that you don't ever use because you don't take baths, well, take it out. Use that space more efficiently, more effectively. Take it out and put in that gorgeous glass walk-in shower. Change the look of your bathroom. Change the aesthetic and the functionality of your bathroom with David Vaughn on One Bath and Closets. I asked David when we sat down last, how long does the tub to shower conversion take? And he goes, well, depends on course and scope of the work, but you can usually get that done in 3 to 5 days. That's not invasive or time-consuming, and it can be cost-effective. And if you're looking for financing, they've got it 0% up to 18 months. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online at onebathandclosets.com.